Hey beauties, morning to you beautiful people. So beautiful people, a good friend of mine, she and I, we were speaking today, an older woman to me, much older woman to me. And, we're talking about relationships. And she's like me, we sometimes watch, those judge reality TV shows sort of a thing. I mean, real life situations they deal with. And I mean, they're real judges, it's just that it is brought to television for us to see what goes on in the court system, and it's not just entertainment. I mean, maybe a little drama is in it, but it's a real life situation. There was one there, I actually saw a former neighbor on it. I was like, what the heck? Anyway, and she says this particular judge, fairly new in terms of like, oh, you would have Judge Judy, Maybelline, and all of these fantastic judges. I mean, Judge Judy just tops them all. She's just amazing. I like her. And she was saying studies show that people who cohabit, meaning common law situations, you live together for years before getting married, the chances of divorce is higher than when you have two singles who didn't live together come together in holy matrimony. It's high as 40%. I was doing some research on a site. I think the research may have been done, obviously it was not done in 2024, but it may have been done, could have been done in 2022, 2023, or before that, maybe over a 5-year span. And the studies have shown that people who live together in a common law cohabitation lifestyle and then transition into marriage, their divorce is higher than the person who were two singles come together, live together in holy matrimony. So they did not cohabit. And one major reason is that there was no clear defined status of mutual commitment and what our future goals are. There was no clear. It's like two people like each other, want to spend time with you, and you just come together. Now, when the man and the woman gets used to that, it's like almost subliminally, they tell themselves that this person will accept anything that I present, because the mere fact you decide that you're going to live with this person because you don't want to push in a bad situation. You want to know if the man or the woman can perform, if it's a man or woman. And I'm obviously, I'm talking about heterosexual relations. That's what I deal with. And when you now transition into marriage, that mindset does not automatically change because you say I do in front of a few people or to the pastor, or so-called you're saying it to God, and you go now just to go through the whole ritual of saying, all right, let us just go through, because me can't take the nagging in my ears as a man. All right, I live with a woman for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, let me get married. Then suddenly now, when the woman now realizes that she's a wife, she expects husband treatment. She expects everything that the person who came in like two singles coming together, not living together, to get, when the man has already gotten used to treating you like the common law partner. It does not change overnight. And I use that scenario because it tends to be the woman expectation of the man. It is generally that way. Because one of the things that women don't understand, yes, we are helpmate, but we are not doormats. If you present yourself like and I use the word doormat for you to get the point that I'm making. If you present yourself like a doormat, the man will just continue to walk all over you. Remember that they're natural born leaders. So they're used to taking charge, being the leader, going after whatever it is that they're going after. You are like the helpmate, so you're the more softer side. And that is part and parcel why women tend to make men the center of their lives, except for God. And that is where the problem lies. Why do you think women agree to living in a common law situation? Let me tell you something. I'm not saying that there are not women out there who have no qualms. They prefer common law over marriage. Let me tell you something. I am not saying that they're lying, but honestly, God would have to tell me himself. God will have to there is a spot in us as females, I'm saying, that we want to get married. Me no care what anybody want tell me say. There is no way. I can understand if she saw some. The only way I would accept that is if she maybe came from a home where she saw a bad situation in marriage, and she probably says, I have to see how he is in a common law situation. But I guarantee you, in the back of her mind, futuristically, she still wants marriage. So at some stage, marriage is going to play a key role. It's like the keynote speaker. in the situation. Every woman, I am so sorry. Even if there's always exception to the rule. Maybe just a percent or so would fall in the exception. And I can tell you, it would be based on their experiences. But if their mindset changes, I'm telling you, they're going to revert to that natural inclination of a woman wanting to get married. So when women tend to agree with living in a cohabitation situation outside of the auspices of marriage, as high as 40%, the divorce rates are high. I've heard of situations where women live with men for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, get married, and within the year they get divorced. Because of expectation. There was no clear defined goal as it relates to mutual commitment. The man has already gotten used to you treating you like a common law wife. You think he's an idiot? He knows. And I'm not saying that people who are in marriage don't get common law treatment, because you have bad marriages. You do have bad marriages. I know of a case like that. They're married for 40 years. I don't even know how the one stayed in it on the basis of what she has shared with me. I remember asking the man years ago, do you love your wife? Not in front of the wife. I didn't do it. And he could not answer me. He could not. He struggled. He struggled like yeah, kind of thing. Before he said, I love her. And I said, oh my God, this was years ago. It was like a shock. You know when they talk about culture shock? I was shocked as it relates to, yeah. And I remember reading something years ago where a psychologist, sorry, not a psychiatrist, it was a psycho, either of the two, said that you have men who can get married to women without loving them. So women don't. That is why sometimes I'm when I hear women say, unless the man loves you, he'll marry you, you have to be careful with that. There are quite a number of situations where the man does not love the woman, but he sees something where it can work out in his favor. Because let me tell you something about men. They will go to a bullfrog just to not be alone. They will go to while a woman can stay alone for years, we have that tenacity. Men can't. You understand me? If men love sex like that, and they would want to know they have somebody that can come, clean, cook, wash, whatnot, to them, they can marry the woman without having a love for her. It happens, my beautiful people. So be careful how we preach a sort of narrative that may not be true. But I can tell you, when you live in a common law situation, it's a study show it, so don't cost people, women, when you live in a common law situation and then you transition to marriage with that same individual, you better be prepared for, I'm not saying prepare for divorce, but that possibility is very much so. Because what has happened is that you have singed respect. There was no commitment, and the man has already trained himself not to commit really to this woman. In case it don't work out, all right, we just go with separate ways. I know if we live for 5 years, based on the laws of the land in Jamaica, she can get or whatnot, depending on what. I mean, just go on. We have to go through the whole hullabaloo of divorce, which may take a little longer. And if he had his eye on somebody else, him just jump in a marriage just in case, so he can get the spoils and the benefits. That is why I am beastly against common law situations. I am beastly. I understand that people say them don't want to put in a bag. People, let me tell you something. Look here. How foolish is that? You can get to know people deeply without doing that. A number of marriages that are good marriages, that did not begin under the common law auspices, they're alive and well today because they got to know each other and they chose somebody that they had that symbiotic relationship with. They had similar belief system. When it says opposites attract, it's talking about man versus woman. And man having their manly ways and women have their feminine ways. We know that. Some difference is important, obviously. But you have to have similar mindsets. You have to have a clear defined goal. If you don't have clear defined goal and commitment, devotion and loyalty, obviously respect and love, definitely, you're going to be in problems, because most of these common law situations end up in divorce when they transition into marriage. I'm not saying that they all don't work, but you don't know where you're going to fall. You don't want to, you don't want to gamble against that. 40, I was just looking at the research, because there is no clear defined goals, and it usually affects the woman, psychological or emotionally. So people, listen to me. Think carefully. Do not make women, don't make the men the center of your lives. And even for men, don't make women the center of your lives, because you do have men who are like that. And if the man is not interested in marriage, move on your merry way. I'm not saying marriage solves all of this. That's not what I'm saying. But you have to think wise. You know what to do. Read TikTok and YouTube. Have a great and fantastic morning.